You expected peace, lightness, and eternal gratitude, but what came was a nameless restlessness that no one can explain. Let me guess. You did everything right on the spiritual path, meditated, cleansed energies, raised the frequency, and finally felt that you entered the fifth dimension. But instead of the constant happiness you were promised, there was a strange discomfort, a desire to get out of your own skin, an intolerance to everything that was once normal. And then you thought, did I do something wrong? Have I regressed? Is this anxiety? The answer will shock you. It's nothing like that. In fact, this discomfort is proof that you've really entered, while 95% of people who talk about authentic awakening have never left the waiting room. Here is the truth that the sellers of spiritual illusion hide from you. The 5D frequency is not a wellness spa where you float on pink clouds. It is a dimension of absolute truth, and truth burns away all that is false within you. That's why you can't stand empty conversations anymore. That's why you've lost friends. That's why you feel this loneliness of awakening that no one understands. It's not that something went wrong, it's that something went way right, and now you no longer fit into the comfortable lie of the third dimension. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 signs of fifth dimensional discomfort that prove you've evolved and not regressed. The brutal difference between real awakening and Instagram awakening, and what to do with that fearless restlessness that doesn't leave you alone. If you're feeling all this and thought you were alone on this journey, leave a number 5 in the comments now. This will be our secret code to identify who really crossed the portal. Let's start with the truth that no one has the courage to tell you. You know that strange feeling that no one can name, that spiritual discomfort that seems to have no origin anywhere, but that is there, throbbing in the chest, asking for passage. Well, there is a brutal truth that the sellers of spiritual illusions do not tell you. Entering the fifth dimension is not a quiet walk through flowery fields where everything turns into love and instant gratitude. In fact, if you are feeling a fearless restlessness, a desire to get out of your own skin, even without being terrified, congratulations, you have really crossed the portal. And that's no small thing, because most people who talk about 5D frequency never really got there. What happens is simple but shocking. 95% of people who post crystals on Instagram and talk about authentic awakening are still comfortably ensconced in the third dimension, peddling a sugary fantasy that they themselves have never tasted. It's like someone who has read the recipe for a cake but never turned on the oven. He can even describe the ingredients correctly, but he doesn't know what the real taste of the baked dough tastes. These people tell you that awakening is all peace, lightness, and good vibes because they have never felt the true discomfort of transformation. They have never woken up in the middle of the night feeling that they no longer fit into their own lives, that something has changed so profoundly that going back is no longer an option. And here's the point that no one has the courage to talk about openly. If your spiritual process is being comfortable, beautiful, and applauded by everyone, you probably haven't really entered yet. The real awakening does not come with a lively audience or likes on social networks. It sneaks in, disconcerting, and brings with it a fearless restlessness that destabilizes everything you thought was solid. When you truly access the 5D frequency, your energy body begins to reject all that is false. And this includes relationships, environments, conversations, and even old versions of yourself. But calm down, because this strange discomfort you feel is not a sign that something has gone wrong. The big lie you have been told is that the fifth dimension is a spiritual spa where you float in eternal peace, surrounded by incense and mantras. The naked truth? 5D is a frequency of absolute truth, and truth burns all that is false within you like fire on dry paper. When you really step into that frequency, you don't become that smiling, enlightened being who hugs everybody and floats in pink clouds. You become someone who simply can't pretend anymore. Not to yourself, not to others. It's as if a veil had been torn from your eyes, and now you see every lie, every mask, every social theater with a clarity that sometimes even bothers you. Imagine that you've spent your whole life wearing sunglasses indoors without realizing it, and suddenly someone rips them off your face. The light hurts your eyes at first. You even want to put your glasses back on, but you can't anymore, because now you see. And seeing means no longer tolerating empty talk, fake smiles, convenience-based relationships, or low vibrationally charged environments. It's not that you've become boring or intolerant. It's that your energetic sensitivity has increased so much that staying in dense places drains you physically, as if someone had pulled the plug on your battery. That party that was once fun now feels like an energetic battlefield. That friend who was once funny now sounds too superficial to bear. And here lies the great spiritual discomfort that no one warns. You don't just lose habits and places, you lose people. Dimensional integration does not happen only in your energy field. It happens in your concrete, palpable, visible life. Suddenly you realize that you no longer have a subject with 90% of the people around you, because they still live in a reality that for you has already become fiction. It's not arrogance, it's frequency. It's like trying to tune into an FM radio station when everyone around still listens to AM. The broadcast just doesn't fit anymore. And that, my friend, deeply bothers you before you set it free. But this discomfort carries within it a secret that few have understood. There is a brutal difference between ordinary anxiety and authentic fifth-dimensional discomfort. But most people confuse the two and end up medicating themselves against their own evolution. Anxiety comes from fear, from concern about the future, from that tightness in the chest that screams something bad is going to happen. The discomfort of the 5D frequency is completely different. It is a fearless restlessness, a strange feeling that you no longer fit in your own skin, but without the panic of anxiety. It's as if you've grown inside, and now your energetic clothes are too tight. If you feel this, pay attention to the 7 signs that I am going to share now, because they are concrete proof that you are not regressing. You are integrating a new dimension. First sign, that fearless restlessness that I have already mentioned. You're not anxious or terrified, but you just can't sit still on the false, accept crumbs, or live on automatic. Second, intolerance of superficial conversations. And when I say intolerance, it is literal. Participating in gossip or small talk starts to hurt physically, as if each empty word sucks your life energy. Third sign is the loneliness of awakening even when you are surrounded by people. You may be in a crowded room, surrounded by acquaintances, but you feel completely alone because no one vibrates at your new frequency. Fourth, that weird urge to get out of your own skin, a disconcerting feeling that you no longer recognize yourself in the mirror, not physically but energetically. Fifth sign is impatience with slow processes. Everything that happens in the third dimension seems to drag on in an unbearable slowness, like watching a video in slow motion. Sixth, you develop an extreme sensitivity to lies and can sense when something isn't authentic. Even if the person is smiling and talking nicely, it's as if you have gained a fake detector built into your chest. And the seventh sign, perhaps the most disconcerting, that physical discomfort in places that were once completely normal for you. Shopping malls drain you, parties sell you out in half an hour, noisy environments seem to suck your soul. If you've recognized 3 or more of these 5D symptoms, I need to tell you something important about what's really going on with you. There is both a scientific and a spiritual explanation for all this discomfort, and when you understand why, everything starts to make sense in a way that calms down. In the fifth dimension, you start to operate in frequency of coherence. This means that your energy field automatically rejects everything that is not true, authentic, aligned. It's exactly like when you clean your diet for weeks. cut out processed foods and sugar, and suddenly try to eat some fast food. Your body just doesn't accept it anymore. You feel sick, you feel nauseous, you reject it all. It's not freshness, it's not emotional intolerance, it's a biological upgrade. Your digestive system has evolved and now recognizes venom as poison. The same thing happens with your energy. Your energy body has become too sensitive to withstand density, falsehood, low vibration. From a scientific standpoint, his brain frequency has literally changed. You have stopped operating predominantly on beta waves, the ordinary waking state, that of rushing and autopilot, and have begun to access more gamma and theta waves, the frequencies of expanded consciousness, deep intuition, connection to subtler dimensions. Research in neuroscience shows that people in deep meditative states or authentic awakening experiences have completely different brain patterns than the average population. Your brain is literally working in a different tune, as if you had switched radio stations. And when you're tuned in to 108 FM, you can no longer pick up what plays on 89 AM. Simple as that. Spiritually speaking, the truth is even more straightforward. You no longer fit in the matrix. The matrix is not a conspiracy theory. It is the structure of collective beliefs, social lies, cultural programming, and shared illusions that keep humanity operating in the third dimension. When you access the 5D frequency, it is as if you have been given special glasses that show the codes behind reality. You see the falsehood in advertisements, in political speeches, in social dynamics, even in your own old justifications. And once you see it, you can't unsee it anymore. It is irreversible, hence the discomfort. You are living between two worlds, with one foot in 5D and the other still stepping on the ground in 3D. But here's something crucial you need to understand about the difference between who actually crossed over and who is just role-playing. It's time to talk about the elephant in the spirit room, the stark difference between real awakening and Instagram awakening. The fake awakening is the beautiful photogenic one, full of tidy crystals, lit candles, motivational phrases in perfect handwriting, and selfies in lotus position with a gold filter. It's flaunting spirituality as if it were a designer bag, posting about gratitude while complaining in the direct, talking about unconditional love and blocking those who disagree. This kind of awakening receives applause, gains followers. Everyone thinks it's beautiful because it doesn't bother anyone, it doesn't change anything, it doesn't change any structure. It is a showcase spirituality, fragrant, palatable, safe. Already the real awakening? This one nobody wants to post because it's ugly, lonely, disconcerting. Authentic awakening is losing friends you thought were for life because you just don't have anything else to talk about. It's questioning every belief you've inherited from family, religion, society, and discovering that 90% of what you believed was programming, not true. It's feeling that deep spiritual discomfort at 3 in the morning when you realize that you're going to have to rebuild your entire life from scratch because nothing you've built so far is aligned with who you really are. It's crying alone in the shower because you finally understood that the loneliness of waking up is part of the process, not a defect of his. If your awakening is comfortable and everyone around you is applauding you, I'm sorry to inform you. You are still in the illusion, in the diet version of the transformation. The plain truth is that true awakening is solitary in nature. Not because you're special or superior, but because only 3% of the population actually walks through that door, and the other 97% will find you weird, radical, exaggerated. Your family will tell you that you've changed, and they're right. Your old friends will disappear or call you less, because you no longer vibrate at the same frequency. Even you yourself will find yourself strange in the mirror for a while. But here's the secret. This spiritual intolerance you feel is not a defect, it's a filter. Your energy field is automatically triage, pushing away what no longer serves and making room for what really matters. And if you want to be sure if your awakening is real or staging, there is a simple test that I will show you now. The best way to know if you have really entered the 5D frequency or if you are still in the waiting room of the third dimension is to do an honest temporal contrast test. I'm going to ask you direct questions, and I want you to answer with brutal sincerity, not with what would be nice to answer, but with the unvarnished truth of your experience. First question. Before your awakening, could you stand parties, clubs, environments full of people without any problem? And now, can you stay 30 minutes in these places without feeling like running? If the answer is yes, you already have the first clear indicator that something has changed in your energy structure. That tolerance you had for dense environments has simply evaporated because your vibrational field no longer accepts diving into low frequencies. Second question, before you could talk about any nonsense, the weather, traffic, neighbor gossip, BBB, any empty subject that came up. And now you can only stand deep conversations, those that touch on purpose, meaning, real transformation. If you have recognized this, understand, it is not that you have become boring or meddlesome. It is that the fearless restlessness of dimensional integration no longer lets you waste vital energy with superficiality. Third crucial question. Before you pretended to be fine, even though you were destroyed inside, put on the social mask and worked on automatic. And now it's become physically impossible to lie about how you're doing. Fourth, before you had dozens of friends and acquaintances, a full schedule, an intense social life, and now you have literally 2 or 3 people nearby and you're completely at peace with it, without feeling like you're missing out on anything. Fifth and last question, perhaps, the most revealing of all, before you sought external approval, wanted to be accepted, tried to fit into groups, modified your behavior to please, and now you just don't care if they think you're weird, different, too intense. If you answered yes to 3 or more of these questions, I need to tell you something that will completely change the way you see all this discomfort. It is not a sign of regression, anxiety, or psychological problem. It is the living proof that you have evolved. It is the concrete evidence that you went through the portal, while 95% stayed on the other side, pretending to go through. But acknowledging this is just the beginning. Because now comes the golden question. What the hell do you do with all this weird discomfort? Now that you understand that spiritual discomfort is a symptom of evolution and not of disease, comes the practical part. What to do with it all? The first thing, and perhaps the most important thing, is not to try to return to the comfort of the third dimension. I know it's tempting, especially when you miss the time when everything was simpler, when you fit into groups, when you had a lot of friends and didn't question anything. But the hard truth is, you don't fit there anymore. It's like trying to stick your foot in a child's shoe. No matter how hard you push, squeeze, or insist, it just doesn't go in anymore. Trying to regress to 3D after accessing the 5D frequency will only generate more suffering, because you would be denying your own evolution. Accept that that old version of you died, and that's okay. She fulfilled her role. Second practical action, accept the loneliness of awakening as sacred, not as punishment. You are not alone because you have done something wrong, or because you are too unsympathetic. You are alone because you are recalibrating, integrating a new dimensional frequency, and that requires space. Think of it this way. When you format a computer to install a new operating system, you need to turn off all the old programs first, right? Your energetic system is doing just that. Therefore, get out of environments that drain without any guilt. Energy protection is a top priority now. That family barbecue where everyone complains about life, you can miss it. That party where the subject is always the same, you are allowed to refuse. It is not selfishness, it is energy survival. Every hour you spend in a low vibration environment is 3 days to recover energy. Third action, actively seek out the 3% who understand. They exist, but they are rare and do not make noise. They are not posting crystals on Instagram or selling abundance course. They are living in the 5D frequency for real, silently rebuilding life from scratch, just like you. You'll recognize them by their presence, not by their speech. And finally, use discomfort as an existential compass. The places, people, and situations where you feel true peace, that deep peace that needs no explanation, are the way to go. Where you feel restlessness without fear, tightness, the desire to run away, it's a red light on. Dimensional integration takes time, months, sometimes years, and the discomfort only really subsides when you stop resisting it and start using it as an ally. But there's one last truth about all of this that you need to hear. If you've come this far, feeling every word in your chest, recognizing every symptom of 5D, identifying every sign of this strange discomfort, I need to tell you a truth that maybe no one has had the courage to tell you yet. You're not doing anything wrong. Quite the opposite. You are one of the very rare 3% who have actually entered the fifth dimension, who have actually gone through the portal instead of just talking about it on social media. While 97% of people romanticize authentic awakening and sell a sugary version of it, you are living the raw, real, disconcerting version, the one that disturbs, that isolates, that truly transforms. And yes, it is lonely. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, the absolute majority of people will not understand what is happening to you. But here's the crucial point that changes everything. You can no longer pretend you don't know what you know. It is no longer possible to go back and accept the comfortable lies of the third dimension as if nothing has changed. You saw too much, you felt too much, you crossed too far to fit back into those old boxes. This fearless restlessness you feel is not a defect. It is your energy system pushing you forward, preventing you from stagnating, reminding you that you were born for much more than living on automatic. The spiritual intolerance you have developed is divine protection, not a personality problem. Your vibrational field is doing exactly what it should, filtering out the false and keeping only the true. And now comes the most important invitation. If you recognize this discomfort, if you felt these 5D symptoms on your skin, if you realize that you are part of that 3% who really entered the 5D frequency, leave a number 3 here in the comments. This will be our secret sign, the way to create a silent community of those who have really crossed over, of those who are not pretending to awaken, but living it in the flesh. Because you need to know that you are not alone on this journey. There are others like you, scattered around the world, feeling exactly the same discomfort, the same loneliness of awakening, the same fearless restlessness. And when we meet, even if it's just for a number in a comment, the energy changes. Leave your 3 down here and let's recognize each other. Now you know the truth. This spiritual discomfort that haunts you is not a defect, it is evolution. This fearless restlessness that doesn't keep you standing still is not anxiety. It's the 5D frequency pushing you forward. And here's the question that really matters. What are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to try to go back to the false comfort of the third dimension, pretending that you didn't see what you saw, that you don't know what you know? Or will you accept that you are part of the 3% who have truly entered, embrace this solitude of awakening as sacred, and rebuild your entire life in the frequency of truth? Because let me tell you something, you no longer have a choice. You can't unsee what you saw, you can't dismiss what you felt. Then he answers me with brutal sincerity. Are you ready to stop fighting this discomfort and start using it as a compass? Are you prepared to accept that most people won't understand you and that's okay? Can you look in the mirror and recognize that you are no longer that old person and that this is a cause for celebration, not mourning? If the answer is yes, you have just taken the first conscious step of dimensional integration. If you're still in doubt, go back to this video as many times as you need until the penny really drops. Because real transformation doesn't happen all at once. It comes in layers, in waves, in cycles of discomfort and understanding. And if you want to continue diving deep into these topics that no one has the courage to talk about openly, subscribe here to the channel and activate the notification bell. Because I'm not here to sell sugary spiritual illusion. I'm here to speak the raw truth about authentic awakening, about the symptoms of 5D that no one warned you about the loneliness, the discomfort, the total rebuilding that comes along with the 5D frequency. In the next few videos, we will dive even deeper into this journey, unravel each layer of dimensional integration, and create a real community of the 3% who have actually gone through. I'll see you in the next video, and remember to leave that number 3 in the comments for us to recognize each other.